Welcome back to Dalren Models. In this video I'm going to be doing the engine build for the RC211V, and as you can see I've got all the bits for it on my bench ready. So the first thing I'm going to show you, which I briefly mentioned in the unboxing video, is the clutch. So this is what they offer you as the plastic part in the kit. Doesn't have loads of detail in. And then they've also given you an additional metal piece, which, to compare the two, there's not that much in it. But what I'm going to be using is this, which, as you can see from the picture in the background, that it's actually got a basket that you make up, and then all of the clutch plates that are all separate, which are these rings here. So I'll go through that later on in this build, as to the assembling of that. You've also got underneath the Hero Toy sticker the actual top cover. I'll slide it over a bit so you can see. So you've got what represents that metal bit at the top with the holes in on the side and everything, and then you've got a plate that goes on top of that. So that should be quite a good build up of that and add to the detail. So the first thing I'm going to do is assemble the basic engine block. So there's a few pieces that I don't actually need. I'm going to paint separately. So I've got the air funnels, and unfortunately I lost one of them, so I've made my own from an old spare piece that I had from something else. I've got these pieces which are going to get painted a different colour, so I'll move those over, and then a few more pieces that are going to be done separately. That's all separate, that's separate, that's separate. So all of the, basically all of the extras, and then I've got the things for the spark plugs, which I'm not sure whether I'm going to use at the moment, but if I don't knock the camera, try and get to focus for you, if it does. Doesn't look like it wants to focus. No, it's not going to focus at all, it's too small. Basically I've drilled a hole in the end of it for some plug wires. I haven't decided if I'm actually going to wire it yet because it's all going to be hidden, but I've done that ready for the option, and I've made this from a bit of square tubing that, if I choose to, I'll glue that into the bottom of that for the wires to go into, just to represent the coil pack. Like I said, it's not going to be seen, so I'm in two minds whether I'm actually going to bother with that. So to get on with the build of the engine, the first thing I'm going to do is glue these two parts together. So I'll get some of the glue on the edge. Again, don't want loads in there, because otherwise it's just going to squeeze out the side and just make a mess, which obviously you don't want. Just put a bit more in there, and then squeeze the two together like that. Make sure it all lines up properly. Right, so that's that piece done, and then you've got this back plate that I will put in there. So again, a little bit of glue around the edges. And then on that side as well. That just goes in there. So it's a fairly easy kit to go together, this one, and then that one goes in there like that, he says. Go like that. So I just run some glue down the seams on that one. Got a little hose here that's interfering a little bit with that. It just snaps in like that. And then the last piece There's this back plate that goes along here. Just like that. So that's the basis for the engine. So next bit will be painting it all up. So I'll go over to the spade booth, get all these pieces sprayed up, and then we'll move on to the assembling it on doing the clutch build. So I'll see you shortly. Right, so I've loaded some Zero Paints metallic grey into the airbrush, so that's what I'm going to paint the engine block and a couple of other bits and pieces with. So first of all, check the paint flow out of the airbrush as always, and then just start laying it down. Like that. So you can see that I've masked off that end of that hose as well after spraying that. So there's a couple of other bits that I want to paint. There's the part of the fuel injection system and these that go on top. So it's only part of this that actually wants painting, and then I'm going to mask it up, and then this will get painted a different colour. So that one, and then this one. So I'll show you the next steps shortly. Alright, I've repositioned the camera a bit to hopefully try and stop going out of shot. So there's a few pieces that the call out is for X31, which is titanium gold, and XF56, which is metallic grey. So again, as always, I'm using Zero Paints. So I put the metallic grey in a little pot, as you can see, and I'm just sorting out the titanium gold that they do. So with a, I forgot what it's called, one of these, pick up 1 mil of paint in there, and I use that to mix it up, and I'll put that in the airbrush. So I'll just put the lid back on that so it doesn't get knocked over, and pop that in there. So the first thing is the engine something I'm going to spray. So I'll just check that the flow's coming out, and then just start painting it. You can see it's got this goldy grey colour to it. Right. So I'll pop that over there. One of the things that I found was in the Scale Motorsport set, there's some logo badges or metal emblems. So I've cut off the plastic logo or the name that was on there, and I've replaced it with some photo etch. What I didn't realise at the time of cutting them off was they're all individual letters, so they're a bit tedious work to replace those. But once it's all painted up, I'll be able to just scrape the paint off and then be left with bare metal photo etch underneath to show the lettering. So that should hopefully be a lot neater than trying to paint the lettering from the original plastic and trying to pick it all out. So I'll show you that when I come to it to pick all of that out. And then you've got the other engine cover. This one doesn't have any writing on it. And then the bottom half of the crankcase, the top half of this gets painted semi-gloss black. So I'm just going to go around the bottom half of that, and then I will mask all that off and then paint the other part black when we come to it. And then the last piece that's going to be this colour is the engine plate on the other side where the clutch goes. So there's a few bits to pick out on that, so I'll show you that later. So there you go, that's those bits done. So I'll get the other bits masked up and then get those painted. Okay, last part for this paint session is I'm just going to do the semi-gloss back parts, again using zero paint. So pour it already in the airbrush. So we've got this box here, which I've painted already the part that was titanium silver just under here, which is part of the mounting bracket, and then we'll just paint that with the semi-gloss black. And then I've got the crankcase to do, which is already masked up. The Scale Motorsport set has a photo etch plate that you can put over this, but looking at it and looking at the moulded lettering on this, I couldn't really see any overall benefit to it, so I've left that off. This is a clutch plate which is going to be carbon fibre decalled. And then the last one is the oil filter. So that's it. So I'm not sure what the next part of this video will be, but that'll be next anyway, whatever it is. So I'll see you in a bit. Right, I'm just going through picking out some of the details on these engine parts. To start with, please excuse the light. I've got a fluorescent light over this paint bench that isn't very good on camera, so it's causing flickering. But I just wanted to show you where I'm up to. So I've been just going through little bits like this, painting the black details, the same on that, and just generally picking them out, what's required. So I've done X34 on that and on that little bar underneath as well. So I'm just about to paint the dipstick cap. So I've got a fine brush, albeit not very good anymore. The bristles have splayed out a bit, so you'll have to bear with me with the fact that I've got needs a replacement brush. But if I can make sure it's on camera, so very gently just stroke the parts that I want to paint, like that. So that's all I'm doing at the moment, is just going through those little pieces. So the other thing I wanted to show you was this cap, the engine cover. So as I mentioned before, I've got the lettering that I'd used photo etch pieces for. So now that the paint's dry, should be able to just scrape along and remove that top level layer of paint like that. So you can see it's starting to come off. And another way of doing this is to get either some sandpaper or a sanding stick to remove this. So for now I'll just go over it with the knife just to scrape the bulk of it off. I don't know how well it's showing up on camera though. There it is actually coming off. And there's gone the 8. So I'll have to go and find where that's just pinged off to. Sorry about that, I wasn't expecting that letter to come off because it obviously wasn't glued down very well. But I managed to recover it. As you can see there, there's all the letters. So I'm just going to get my file and very gently, now that I've got the bulk of the paint off with a knife, I can just go over it with a sander. So you can see there that it's just bringing the lettering out now so that you can read it. And that's a sort of nice metal finish to it, as you would want to see. So the other thing I wanted to show you was a wash that you've probably seen people do or talk about. So I've got some acrylic X1 that I'm going to be using, along with some what I've put down as acrylic thinners, which is basically a mix of isopropyl alcohol and water. So I think it's 10% IPA and 90% water. So if I get my brush I'm going to use, I'll do. So it doesn't have to be a high quality brush for this, for what we're doing. So again, I've got a milk bottle cap. So I'll get some paint in the bottle, out of the bottle into the cap, sorry. And then we'll get some of the thinners mix. And put that in there, and then mix it up. So it wants to be a very thin consistency to make it run, because that's ultimately what you want it to do. So I'll put a bit more in there. So I can't tell you what the ratio is for paint to thinners, because as you can see I'm just winging it basically to something that looks right to me. Just so that it gives enough flow. So just check on this part. So basically you just wipe it over like that, and it'll go into all the recesses and just bring the detail out of it. So next one I'll do is this cap, and again just go around where the bolt heads are, and then because we're putting it over the acrylic, the lacquer paint, it'll just brush off. So if I put that on there, you can see it just wipes off with the cocktail stick, so you can put as much or as little as you want on it. It will just wipe off without any issue. So you don't want to be using an enamel wash on this, for instance, because you will start to take it off, especially if you painted with acrylic paints and you tried an enamel wash. All you're going to do is take all your acrylic off, and if you paint with acrylic even, the thinners will be enough. So just gently go over all the parts like this, just to get into all the into all the recesses. And the other way to do this is to use oil, artist oil typically you'd use, that does the same thing. It's very slow drying doing that method, so you've got plenty of time to work with it. So for this I'm just going to go quick, because I'm not paying loads of attention to this because it's all going to be hidden anyway, so there's not a lot of point. I just want to show the basis of it. So you can see on that side, with this area here where you've got the shadows brought out compared to that side, that you can start to see that it's bringing the detail out a bit. So that's all we're looking to do. So I'm just going to go over the rest of the engine like that. Again, don't worry about being neat because it's all going to get tidied up. So if you're using an oil wash for this, then you've got the option to leave it a bit longer to wipe it off and make it nice and neat. So there you go, that's the basis of it. So I'll finish that off and then I'll show you the next bit. Right, okay, I'm now on to the final assembly part for the engine. So as you can see, I've got all the bits all ready. I've got the clutch assembled, which I've done in a separate video on that. So if I get a bit of super glue in my little tub, so I'm ready to go. So obviously you've seen me paint all of this already, so the next bits to do is just to start putting it all together. So the first bit I'm going to do is to attach that into there, which goes like that. Just sits in there. I'm not going to bother gluing that because that's going to get glued into here, which will hold it in place. So if I just check which way round that goes, which is that way, so that will glue onto there like that. Push that all the way in will help. So that fits nice and flush. Run round and put a seam of glue all around the edge here. And it just sits on there. And if you've got things like this where you've got what looks like bolts that would go through, just make sure that it all lines up properly. There's nothing worse than having it a little bit wonky and not lining up because it just looks wrong if you get it like that. So the next bit I'm going to put on will be the oil filter. Which just sits on there like that. And then the engine cover that sits over there can go on. Like that. Again, a few more bolt holes, or where the bolts would go, are in there to look for. And then you've got the head covers, the rocker covers. So one either side. So again, bit of glue all the way around. much. So this one with the lettering goes on this side, and then the one without lettering goes on the other. And then you've got what would be the tops where the spark plugs go. You've got two in this one. These are a little bit fiddly. And these want to be pointing to the centre of the engine, so I'm just going to get the tweezers just to straighten them up. Just so they're going where they should be. And then that one wants to be going that direction. Make sure I get some glue in each of the holes on that one. So I use tweezers to put these in so that I can hold it a bit better. Number one. That's number two. And that'll be number three. So I'm not going to do the clutch yet, I'll do that in a minute. So onto the other side. That piece sits on there like that. So run some glue around where that's going to go. This piece here sits in that gap there. Just checking where the chain actually sits, because I've got the top studio chain to go on. I think that goes in there, so I'm just checking the clearance to make sure that it's not going to interfere if I glue that in. So that'll be okay to put in. So I'll put some glue in there and then attach that. And then what I forgot. In fact, I'm going to do this bit next, just to. I want more glue in there, just to give that chance to dry while I'm doing the next bit. So I should have done that first, but there you go. So this is part of the fuel injection system. So look which way it goes, which is that way round, and that goes in there. You can see there's two different size holes and notches, so it only goes one way round on there, and then the same on the other side. I think it might be a bit easier to put the glue on this part. goes in there. If it don't pop back out. And I've got that piece goes on the end of there. Which is a little bit tight, so I need to take some of the paint off that. So when it comes to taking paint off, you just need to get a sharp knife and just carefully just run it around the edge of the part in question that's causing the problem. Just to take the top layer of paint off, and then you should find that your piece fits on like that. So just take it back off and put a bit of glue on there. But that's again why you always check the fitment of parts before actually putting glue on, because otherwise you end up trying to put glue on something that doesn't fit and then making a mess. So that goes that way around. So put some glue in those holes there. And then I've got these pieces to go on that I've painted with the alkyd chrome, which look quite good. Which, looking at that, might have been easier to have done these first, but there you go. Make sure I get enough glue on there. And my homemade one I'm going to put in the centre. And hope that it's not really obvious that it's homemade. And that one on that end. You can see there that it's not sitting properly, so again I should have checked that first, that because the hole is a different size in there to what that is, I just need to cut that notch off, that sticky up bit. But that's me not really thinking ahead properly. So there you go, I just cut that notch off there, and then that will sit just flush like that. And there's a bit of excess plastic there, just cut it with some glue. So hopefully that doesn't look too obvious that that's a aftermarket part that I had to sort of scratch build from something else. So that's a nice little assembly there. So what we've got next is the hose that goes that piece on there, and that piece wraps around there like that. So a bit of glue in there and a bit of glue on there. Do that bit, and then turn it back over. I'm going to glue the clutch on now, which just sits in there. So again, you can see you lose a bit of the detail in the recess, but for the most part you can still see it. So run a bead of glue all the way around the inside of there and drop that on. I've not done the cover yet because I need to put some carbon fibre on that, so I will do that later. And then the last piece to go on is that bit there, which will just sit there. So you've got some notches for that. So there's one there, and I seem to be running out of glue again, just in time. And put a bit there, put a bit there, put a bit in there, a bit in there, and that sits like that. So there you go, that's almost the completed engine, if I put it back into camera. So I'm not sure I'm going to bother with the wires, HT leads or not. I'm still undecided. I've still got the part ready if I choose to go inside there, but like I said, I'm undecided at the moment, so I'll just leave that there and I'll see you in the next video. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.